Hi guys, it's Ella and welcome to our first episode of I'm Not Your Therapist But, and I'm here with Eliza.
Hi, this is Liza, and this is our first quarantine version as well.
So basically this is just going to be us running through like what we're doing to stay healthy and with healthy minds during quarantine, even though it's a really stressful time for everybody, even people with mental illnesses. So Eliza, what have you been doing so far to stay sane?
So, surviving. I feel like that's like the theme of this whole thing is like I'm kind of getting back to basics with like my recovery almost.
Yeah.
Right, and like that's what's getting me through these days, especially when I look at more like my sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
And that early kind of like, I'm gonna take this moment by moment,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I'm gonna really be slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not doing it every day. I'm definitely not living in the moment.
It's really
Yeah,
good to be gentle with ourselves during those times too, because even when we do slip up and we get caught up in our heads or whatever, it's just about readjusting, refocusing.
yeah, and that's another big thing I think is like being really kind to myself,
Mm-hmm.
which I think we all need to practice that every day. I
Yeah.
need to work on that in a good, like on a good day. I need to work on being kind to myself.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm having a lot of like, this is going to sound very silly, but I started doing this during the quarantine.
Uh-huh.
And it actually started, so like all my college classes moved online. They were in person, not classes I would have picked for like an online thing.
Yeah.
And I was studying for an exam and I was so stressed. I started crying and I was just like, I got really irrational and I was like, I have to drop this class and I probably have to drop out of college.
I just quit this whole thing.
This is not for me. Like, I'll find another path. And it'll be like, this is one test.
Yeah.
One test. And I literally went into the bathroom and I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, Liza, calm down. You are okay.
It's gonna be okay.
That's what I did for like 5 minutes. I pretended that I was like talking to my daughter. I just talked to myself like down from this like existential crisis. I was peaking from a math test.
Sometimes we just need to be like very direct, because I can hear myself being crazy sometimes, like just thinking all these like thoughts like you suck, like don't even bother getting out of bed, like you're not going to be productive anyway. But I'm like, are you kidding? Come on. Like I prove to myself every time I get out of bed that it's worth it. So what am I talking about? Like it's
Yeah,
not based in any fact.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What helps you get through this? What do you do every day?
It honestly, same as you, is just taking it moment by moment. I've been really focused in like what habits I'm practicing. So I'm trying to journal every day still, make my bed, get out of the clothes that I was wearing before, anything like other than pajamas. I'll
Right.
try and wear, but even that is like a hard task some days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I I definitely need to start exercising more, because that's something that I was doing before quarantine and it's just kind of thrown off all my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like a slippery slope too. Like, this exercise helps us mentally, but it also, like, I'm hearing a lot. I'm trying not to involve myself in the tempting, like, self-talk about gaining weight during quarantine
Oh,
because it's, you know, like so tempting to be like, choose now. Let's choose now to beat ourselves up about our physical appearance.
mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
global health crisis.
Yeah, when things aren't hard enough.
Right, things are bad. Let me just feel terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm trying really hard to avoid that, but I've also not been exercising as much, and like it's making my body look different and feel different, and that feels uncomfortable.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm losing like a big sense of self and accomplishment too.
Yeah.
I'm not proving to myself that I'm capable of more than I think I am, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. um
I,
Go ahead.
I think too, though, like something, things like this also help me feel better when I'm talking about how hard it is and I'm talking about like how it feels.
Yeah.
Because I feel like alone in that. And I think that's why that feeling of like not being productive during the day and not being like accomplished feels so bad,
Hmm.
um, because I'm not remembering that this is something that like everyone who's privileged enough to be able to be quarantined right now is feeling a degree of what we're feeling.
Yeah.
Um, and then people who aren't quarantined right now are really suffering because of that. They're
Hmm.
risking their health, and it's just, so I'm trying to like have that perfect balance between I'm not alone, I'm not the only one, have a little perspective, a little bit of gratitude for the fact that I'm able to do this,
Yeah.
uh, and also let it go, because like it's like a battle. It's like an internal battle of like thoughts of like, this is hard, but other people have it harder, but I'll get through it. We'll get, it's
Yeah,
like, so
exactly.
all of these things exist at the same time.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important to also not belittle like what your experience is, even though it's like not as hard as somebody else's, because that's not going to help your own situation, you know. It's just going to make you feel worse about your own struggles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I think that's really interesting is that I know so many more things that I could be doing for myself at the moment, but I just don't know how to do them. I feel like it's almost impossible to add another layer in some days, because just remembering to drink enough water can be overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just think it's so interesting that we always know more than we attempt to do, and what would it look like if we were living out all of these ways and coping mechanisms that we know would be healthier for ourselves.
Yeah. I've been experiencing that as well. And trying really hard also to like check it when it starts turning into like this like guilty, like I'm berating myself, like, oh my God, Eliza, you have extra time, but really there's no, like, none of us have any extra time.
Yeah.
Like, for one, that's not how time works.
No.
We're home. Um, we're like navigating, you know, normal world like things on our plate with not normal world things. So I'm like, I also am like, I should be drawing a lot. I should be doing yoga every day. I should go for like 2 walks a day, and I should stop drinking coffee and like use the time, break all the bad habits, develop all the new ones. But no, it's
Yeah,
not.
it's more time for just like focusing on what kind of works for you in a healthy way, and
Yeah.
just sticking to it and keeping your head above water, because it's so easy to get caught up in that cycle of like, I'm not doing enough, and that guilt.
Yeah.
But it's not worth carrying that with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that this is an opportunity for something. We don't have to necessarily know what that is or quantify it or
Yeah.
define it like right now while we're experiencing it. Because I think we probably, like, whatever the purpose that this has been beneficial in some way for will be different for you and me.
Yeah.
I was in line like outside to go into Trader Joe's the other day, and like they have all these people like spread apart, and I was like super bored, so I was being nosy, and I was listening to this lady talk to another lady, and she was saying that she had been laid off from her job, had been home for like 5 weeks, the whole thing,
Yeah.
and but she realized that like in all of this time that she's been home that she doesn't want to return to her job when the quarantine is over. So I didn't hear like what field she was in. I just heard that snippet, but I was like, oh, like this is time, like you just said, what works for us right now. And life is not supposed to be all of us prescribing to these ideals that we're told should matter to us.
Mm-hmm.
They usually like are so not in the same like wavelength that we're on, and it makes us feel bad to be like 10 steps behind
Yeah.
a framework that doesn't actually fit us. So this is our time to, kind of realize what are our priorities.
A great chance to just like reevaluate where you are and take account of what's actually important in your life.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the only really good side of a crisis like this, is it really makes you take a step back and look at where you're finding your happiness, and
Right.
is it like in all your external self, or are you able to be with yourself and feel content with that? And I
Right.
think that's a really important place to be.
Yeah. It's hard to get there too. Like it's so like this whole thing is just such a like a practice in like letting things wash over us, and like just like letting them happen, because you're so right. And then like I wake up some days and I'm just like, this is, I've got time to feel what in my days feels really stressful, feels bad. Can I let go of that? Like I'm really bad at letting go of things,
Yeah.
like commitments and stuff. I overcommit myself a lot. Like I say yes to everything. Like,
Yeah.
this is my opportunity to say no and take something off my plate. But then, you go like between hour and hour, between like I can look 2 hours ahead of my future, or like, oh my God, right this second. It's so difficult. I can't look in any direction. It's all so fluid, like this whole strange experience.
Yeah.
And then it's not at the same time, like then it's also like very like I think for some people it feels very um like stagnant and just purposeless.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds nice. I wish I was bored right now.
I don't know. It seems almost like a privilege to be bored.
Yeah, I really wish I could be bored or have some of this like extra time that people are speaking of. It sounds really great.
Yeah, for self-exploration and new
Yeah.
hobbies and
Just shaping my new self, my new better self.
yeah. It's
Nice.
almost like all the extra time makes you think that you need to commit yourself to more things.
Yeah, that's so strange because it
Mhm.
really does.
Yeah, we don't take account that we actually just need those moments of break for ourselves anyway. Like that moment when you're commuting to work or school or something, that's just a moment where we get to reflect and pause. But since we don't get to schedule that into our calendar anymore, it's like, where do I actually take a break? I'm in doing schoolwork all day or something like that. We don't have those enforced breaks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have that kind of like forced structure and that
Yeah.
forced productivity from like these silos of like work, school, travel,
Yeah.
eat, cook.
I think I found that definitely very difficult
Yeah.
to, because I would separate like being at home. I would just be at home, relax. I would do all my work outside, like in coffee shops or if I the library, something like that. And it was really easy to distinguish when I was working, when I was relaxing. But now I'm all in my room and all the lines are blurred, and I have a hard time setting those boundaries for myself.
Yeah. And was it you that I was talking to this about, like how physical transitions are like really motivating?
Mm-hmm.
Like because I like now at this point in my life, like, I am very stable in my like coping skills and my behaviors, and I've got, like a a lot of like crisis survival skills,
Yeah.
right? Like that, like, every day kind of like your worldview or your thoughts, you know, they're like linked more to like depression and anxiety that just kind of feel kind of a part of like the person that I like wake up and like have a relationship with, and like we get through
Mhm.
days together, you know, like that's like a normal thing.
Yeah.
But I have found, very unintentionally so, that I get through like the chronic fatigue of depression through like constant physical transitions.
Yeah.
Like, and like by that I mean like even if it's a weekend, I can't spend the whole day at home. Like we have to get up and go somewhere, or
Yeah.
else yeah, like by noon I'm so tired, I can't function.
Mhm.
And so like sometimes when I'm tired, I'll just like we eat out so much, it's disgusting, it's like atrocious. And it's because like I'll pick her up from school and I'm so tired that I go to a restaurant so that it like wakes me up. It's really disgusting, it's horrible.
I
And
think
now
that's fine. I don't think that's something to beat yourself up about.
and that forced like physical interaction too is like, you know, it's also missed. Like I can't talk to like my friends at the grocery store, like, you
No.
know.
Yeah, all those areas that we used to feel like a little connection are just kind of
Yeah.
cut now. Yeah. For all the people that are forced to quarantine by themselves, I have no idea how they're doing it,
Oh
because
yeah. Yeah.
the small interactions I have with my parents, just being able to hang out with another human in the
Mhm.
same room with them, it's really important. And I think reaching out to those people, who you know are quarantining by themselves, like it's so essential to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think the last thing that has helped me a lot has been people checking in on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and me reaching out to other people, which I like in normal circumstances actually really struggle with, to
Hmm.
reach out to people like by text. So I would say for people, you know, watching also in your rooms, that, like those check-ins feel good to give and they feel good to get. So
Yeah.
if you aren't already doing it. Oh, and like also I've been limiting my social media a ton.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's helped a lot. The day this started, I actually went off of Facebook and Instagram for like 30 days. It wasn't 30 days.
But even just being conscious of the time you're spending on it is really
Yeah.
important, because my screen time has gone up like a crazy amount. When I get like the end of the week report, it's like it was like 4 hours and now it's like 7. I'm like, what's happened?
What is going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that pull, that kind of like psychic pull that you're like, where's my phone? That's like such a, I hate that feeling.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I hate it. And I feel it all the time, which was why I was like, okay, quarantine, no Facebook, because it's going to make me paranoid. No Instagram, because I'm addicted to it.
Yep.
So can't do it.
Yeah.
But
Respecting, our own boundaries for what works for us.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, this has been really great to talk
Yeah.
to you and find out what's been working for you. It's definitely helpful to know that we're all in the same boat, even though
Yeah.
we're all experiencing something different out of this.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's, yeah, I really, that really resonates with me. Having like a connectedness within this very individually unique situation helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thank you, Ella. This is awesome.
Thanks.
All right.
You have a good day.
You too.